Neymar can become the first player in the history of football to do this.
Neymar makes it look so simple.
I scoured more than 3,000 players across 6 different continents to find out if someone has won a Champions League in 3 different continents. The reason I was thinking about this is because Neymar moved to Al Hilal. You know, it's actually Asia's most successful club. They have the most titles in Asia and they've won 2 Champions Leagues in the last 5 seasons. And since Neymar won the Copa Libertadores with Santos and he won the UEFA Champions League with Barcelona, I thought he may be the first person to win a Champions League on 3 different continents. And now a few pages tweeted about this fact, but I could not find anything reliable. And that's why to find out if this is true, I did what I do best, and that is create a big ass database. So I spent a good portion of September searching for players that have won a Champions League across different continents, and now I have a database of 3,199 players that have won a Champions League. This means any of the African Champions League, Asian Champions League, European Champions League, North American Champions League, Oceanic Champions League, or South America, which is Copa Libertadores. And not just that, on the road to finding if Neymar can be the first player in the world to do this, I found some pretty interesting statistics too. I have stats that show you which nationality won the most Champions Leagues. I have stats that show you which club has won the most Champions Leagues. I have stats that show you how many Joses have won a Champions League. I have stats that show you how many players won a Champions League without even playing a game. The way I did this is our beloved football website Transfermarkt has a little tab called most successful players for any competition you go to, and it has a list of every single player that has won that competition. But the reality is, while it's the most accurate source out there, it's not 100% accurate. Like, I follow the Asian Champions League, and I know that there are some players that Transfermarkt is missing, but at the same time, I mean, would those players have won 3 Champions Leagues in 3 different continents if Transfermarkt missed out? Probably not. So without further ado, let's delve into the database and find out the Papo Reto, which, for those of you who don't know, in Sao Paulo, Papo Reto means the 100%, 1000% truth. So let's find the Papo Reto. If Neymar can be the first player in the history of football to win a Champions League on 3 different continents. So the first thing I did was search for players that have won the UEFA Champions League and the Copa Libertadores. Easy. You can find so many articles. They even updated it to this season when Julian Alvarez won the Champions League with Man City after winning the Libertadores with River. The other players who won it are Rafinha, Walter Samuel, Junior, Ronaldinho, Gida, Cafu, Ramirez, David Luiz, Neymar, Julian Alvarez, Juan Pablo Sorin. There's 2 players I'm missing. Danilo and Carlos Tevez. Fun fact, Ramirez actually left Palmeiras in November 2020, a few months before they won the Copa Libertadores, but because he played 7 games in the Libertadores, he was considered part of the winning team. So immediately what I did there, those 13 players, I went to see if they won any of the other Champions Leagues. The African, Asian, Oceanic, North American. None of them did. Then I did a search for players that won the Champions League in 3 different continents and nada. What a shame. I then went to our good friend ChatGPT and, you know, I don't know anything after September 2021. Now Bard, ChatGPT's cousin, I mean, just a compulsive liar to be honest. It said that Rafa Marquez won the CONCACAF Champions League with a team that he never played for. Red flag. So it was in that moment that I made the realization that if I wanted to find this fact, I needed to search for every single player one by one. And now I didn't have to, and I took that as a personal challenge. I will search and scour through every single player on this earth to make sure that this fact is true. Now to put into perspective what we were working with, the most successful players page on Transfermarkt, it's 20 players per page, right? And some of these Champions Leagues, they have like 25 pages, 35 pages, up to 45. That was the maximum. And unfortunately, there's not just like one list that shows them all. What I had to do, this is the process. So I would highlight the page to copy paste it and then put it into ChatGPT and make ChatGPT understand what is it that I actually want from this list. It would make so many damn mistakes. I just asked it to put it into a table exactly as is, because when you put it directly from Transfermarkt into Google Translate, it makes it all clunky and it doesn't really work, and I wanted to put them all on an Excel sheet, right? ChatGPT, I had to talk back and forth. We had fights, I had anger issues, we divorced, we got back together. It was a whole journey with ChatGPT, and I just want to say, Chat, you know, you made a lot of mistakes, but I'm grateful, because without you, I wouldn't have finished this. But I hope to God, right? I checked, right? I checked everything, but like, I swear to God, you know, so I'm a human. There's human error. If you, as a robot, right, got one of these players wrong, then all my statistics, everything I'm doing about this video is wrong. So off the top of my head, there are around maybe 100 to 150 pages in total, because think about it, right? 3,200 divided by 20 players per page, 320 divided by 2. 160 multiplied by 2 is 300. Yes, 160 multiplied by 2 is 160 pages. So imagine on average, I did each page 2 to 3 times. We're talking more than 300 times that I had to highlight, copy, paste, take back, wait for ChatGPT. And so we went through a lot. Yeah, we went through some times together, Chat and I. We went through some times together. But then I was like, oh my God, maybe we can end this right now. Giovinco played for Juventus, Giovinco played for Toronto, and Giovinco played for Al Hilal. But he failed to win the Champions League at Juventus, he failed to win the Champions League at Toronto, and he won at Al Hilal. But at that moment I was like, I thought I found something, but... So then I spent my days copying and pasting, copying and pasting, copying and pasting, copying and pasting, deleting, copying and pasting, copying and pasting, copying and pasting, swearing at ChatGPT, copying and pasting, copying and pasting, copying and pasting. It would never... I asked those friends who watch random leagues like the Peruvian League, the Omani League, the Kenyan League, everyone was like, nah, it doesn't ring a bell. And then I thought, Brazilians and Argentinians, they travel all over the world. You've got some in Africa, you've got some in Asia, you've got some in Oceania, you've got some in North America. Definitely, one of them has had to have done it. É bagulho estranho, mas... Não aconteceu, irmão. I mean, players from North Africa always go to the Middle East, but I could barely find players who won from Africa and Asia together, let alone Africa, Asia, Europe, or Africa, Asia, Libertadores. So, after I copy-pasted all of these players' names, it was around 3,247. I had to delete duplicates, and we got down all the way to 3,199. Okay, step 1, done. So then what I did through Excel's amazing conditional formatting tool, each continent was given a certain color. Because what I had to do next, I had to read through an alphabetical order list of 3,199 players. And so the way that I would find it is by looking to the right. And if I see a player's name pop up twice and 2 different colors, I'll be like, oh, he won 2 different Champions League in 2 different continents. And if it came as 3 different colors, hallelujah, we would have got it. But I mean, scrolling through 3,199 players is hard. So imagine reading them one by one. Imagine I give you guys the answer at the end of this video and I'm wrong. But I found something interesting, because you see how we had the players who won the UEFA Champions League and the Libertadores? No one talks about the double winners from Champions League around the rest of the world. Agustin Delgado, Cristian Jimenez, Marcelo Barovero, Neri Cardozo, and Michael Arroyo all won the CONCACAF Champions League and the Copa Libertadores. But not 3, just 2. Now there were those players who won a Champions League in 2 different continents and could have won it elsewhere. Damian Manso won in North and South America, and then he played for Al Nassr in Asia, but he only stayed there for a season and couldn't win the Champions League. Valina Vangioni also won in North America and South America, and he played for Milan for a season, but it was when Milan were bad and they weren't in the Champions League. Yes, I am mad because Milan beat us in 2007. But listen to this story, because I'm sure I have found something you've never heard in your life. So you may have heard of a player called Matias Craneviter. This guy won the Libertadores with River in 2015 and the CONCACAF Champions League with Monterrey in 2021. 2 Champions Leagues. But if you know your Latino football well, you'll also know that he played for Atletico Madrid in that season. Not that season, in that season. So he joined Atletico in the summer of 2015, was loaned back to River immediately, won the Copa Libertadores with them, and then came back to Atletico in January, made 1 appearance in the Champions League, and then we reached the final of the 2015 Champions League. Atletico against Real. Now look, Craneviter wasn't in the squad for the final, or the semi-finals, but he did play 45 minutes against PSV Eindhoven, but... You see, if Juan Fran had not missed that penalty for Atletico Madrid, we might have had our first player to win a Champions League on 3 different continents, Matias Craneviter. Now you might be asking, why did you repeat this part? So you see, I confused the 2015-16 season as the season that Ramos scored that 90th minute equalizer for Atletico Madrid, and essentially I blamed Matias Craneviter's inability to win the UEFA Champions League and all of the world's problems on Sergio Ramos' header. I was like, this guy scored a header that changed time forever, you know? But fortunately for him, it was not true. I mean, he did score the header and the penalty in the second Champions League final. But anyways, let's go back to the original video where I can tell you some more interesting facts. Now, besides North and South America, do you know there's actually only one other combination of Champions Leagues that have been won by a same player around the world? Africa and Asia. Islam al-Shatir won it for Al-Ahli in Africa, and he won it for Al-Ittihad in Asia. Wait, so no one has won the Asian Champions League and the European Champions League. No one has won the African Champions League and the European Champions League. That one's pretty interesting, because you could have got a sneaky Hakimi in there. Alright, but now it's time for some actually interesting facts. Which name has won the most Champions Leagues? So according to the database, we have 12 Thomases, 15 Sergios, 16 Pedros, 16 Victors, and 17 Marios. And the name Juan won ACL 35 times. I told you Jose, not Juan, right? Now I have to either edit the intro or search through 3,000 players. How many Joses? I mean, I could be like, I'm not gonna show you, but also I came all this way searching through 3,199 players. So what's a little favor for you? 39 different Joses have won a Champions League. But 39 only puts Jose in second place. Because you know who's first? It is, well indeed, the most popular name in the world, Muhammad, with 50 different Muhammads winning the Champions League. What can he do? I mean, Muhammads were always gonna win, huh? Wow, I mean, like, what a journey we've been on, huh? Interesting statistics, interesting stories, random things here and there. Like, who would have told you how many Joses have won a Champions League and that Muhammad and Jose is the rivalry of names that won this? Who would have told you this stuff? But before we get to the final answer, the Papuhetu of Neymar, here's a quick fire round of stats that I found pretty interesting. 231 players have won a Champions League without winning a game. That's 7.22% of all players that have won a Champions League. Now, if you want to guarantee winning a Champions League, you go to one of three clubs. Real Madrid, obviously, 151 players that have won a Champions League with them. Al Ahly of Egypt, they have 121 different players. And Auckland City in New Zealand, yeah, I mean, they've won the OFC Champions League like 12,362 times. So yeah, you just go to Auckland, New Zealand and sign for the club and you win the Champions League. Papuhetu. Now, the nationality that has won the most Champions Leagues, Papuhetu, is Brazil. And Brazilians, mouth. I got a statistic for you. 429 Brazilian players have won a Champions League. And guess who's in second place? Argentina. 299 different players. Tô brincando, cara. 34 countries have only had one player that has won a Champions League. Let's see if your country's in this list. Guatemala, Uganda, Trinidad and Tobago, Tajikistan, St. Kitts and Nevis, Andorra, Slovakia, Guinea-Bissau, Somalia, Yemen, Bahrain, Cyprus, Panama, Samoa, Niue, Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Lebanon, Mauritania, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Iceland, Hungary, Guernsey, Niger, Equatorial Guinea, Gambia, El Salvador, Burkina Faso, Bulgaria, Botswana, Bolivia, Benin, and Estonia. 34 countries with one player that has won a Champions League. Put your country in the comments down below. Now, which player in the world has the most Champions Leagues of any continent? There's actually 4 of them. Emiliano Tade, Angel Berlanga, Jacob Spoonley, and Ivan Viselic. They all have 7 Champions League titles which they won in Oceania with, you guessed it, Auckland City. I told you, easy game. We're finally here, guys. We are here at the final lap of this marathon. Is Neymar potentially going to be the first player to win a Champions League on 3 different continents? I mean, Al Hilal could win the Champions League this season in Asia. And if they do, will Neymar be the first one or not? This is what we're all here for. We read the list of 3,199 players over and over and over and over and highlighted the players that have won a Champions League in at least 2 different continents in green, and the players with the same name that have won a Champions League in different continents in red, because there's like 7 Danilos, bro, and all those Danilos won like a Champions League in a different continent, but they weren't the same Danilo. And then we searched and searched and searched and we found a mistake. Turns out Keylor Navas won the Champions League, right? And he also won the CONCACAF Champions League with his hometown team Deportivo Saprissa back in 2004, 2005. Imagine how many other players haven't been taken into account. What if there's other players that they've missed, man? I'm tired. I'm broke. I've spent a whole month just searching for this stuff, planning and you know the searching of the video. Then I have to record the video. Then I have to edit the video. Like, man, I'm tired.
Can't you see my eyes? Can't you hear my voice? Can't you see my body? I want to sleep. I've slept an average of 6.3 hours over the last 30 days. Can I just sleep?
I mean, I don't even know if this video will get more than 100 views. Like, imagine putting all of this time and then that's it. No one watches it. The algorithm ain't Joe friend. Imagine. I mean, was it even worth it? What was the point? Will the world be a better place if I release this information? Does anybody even care? Does Neymar even know himself? Did his agent call him and be like, Papuhetu Neymar, você vai ser o primeiro? No. Does he even, does the Hilal team know? There's just no point. Imagine, like, all of this that I've put, there's no point. Because the world isn't gonna be a better place. Nobody's gonna be like, Mo Fayyad, you are the guy who found out if Neymar can be the first player to win a Champions League on 3 different continents. What are my kids gonna say? What are my grandchildren? What, am I gonna tell my grandchildren, yeah, I scoured through a database of 3,200 players? They're gonna be like, that's what you did, Grandpa? That's your contribution to this world that's been damaged financially, environmentally, spiritually, in every sense possible? This is your contribution? I give up. I give up. I'm not gonna leave you hanging, man. I searched, I checked, I rechecked, I slept, I thought, I smelt, I heard, I saw, I did everything possible, and here is the Papuhetu. No player has ever won a Champions League in 3 different continents. So that means that if Neymar wins the Asian Champions League with Al Hilal at any point in time, he becomes the first player in the history of football to achieve this feat. The first player in the history of football to win a Champions League on 3 different continents. After all the effort I put in, I'm not even gonna ask you to like and subscribe. If you respect me, you know what to do. Papu Hetu!
Neymar o melhor do mundo, eu te amo, pai.